All right, what's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to show you the simplest method of actually starting Amazon if you are a new seller that has less capital, but you still want to compound it quickly. A lot of people come to me saying they have 500 bucks to start. Unfortunately, that is on the lower end. So the types of amount of money I'm really talking about here is anywhere between $2,000 to $6,000. If you are starting with $2,000 to $6,000 for inventory, this is the strategy that you want to do to not only compound your money quickly, but make it a lot easier for you starting out with no sales, with having to deal with ungating, with having to deal with finding products. Because a lot of people think that they need to be targeting a specific kind of item as a new seller with less capital, but that's far from true. It's not only going to slow you down, but you're going to turn your money much slower. The goal here is to spend your less capital, right, that $2,000 to $6,000 on a much higher profit items so you can compound that money quicker, right? You start with $5,000, you turn it at a 50% ROI, you make $2,500, and now you have $7,500 to work with the following 2 months, and you can start to scale up much quicker. That strategy changes a little bit, which I'll touch on in this video too, as you kind of scale up. And you start to like spend a lot more money a month, because then you kind of need a different type of item, which again, I'm going to talk about in this video fully. Let's just get into it. I know you're probably extremely busy, so I want to keep this video short and sweet, but packed with a ton of info and a ton of value like I do every single week. So if you're new here, follow me and go through my videos. I promise you, you're not going to see this type of value anywhere else on YouTube. I literally expose every single thing I know about Amazon here. So let's get straight into it. What is the strategy for low capital sellers? And again, I'm talking about anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 worth of capital for inventory. Here's the thing with low budget, you have to be pickier at sourcing. So you have to target a specific kind of item that's easier to find. And essentially we're doing this because we need to spend that money and get as much money back, right? We don't want to be spending $5,000 just to make $1,000. It's going to take forever to compound. We want to spend $5,000 and get back, minimum $2,500 at that 50% ROI and turn that money much quicker. So the difference between $3K a month versus $30K a month in spend is drastically different, right? If you have $30,000, you need to target different items versus if you have $3,000. And a lot of people get into Amazon trying to target these items that people with a lot more capital should be targeting. So with 3K, again, your target should be about a 50% ROI on products, so you can easily compound your money and cover your operating expenses, right? If you spend $3,000, you're making $1,500 back in profit, and with that type of spend, you're able to cover like your softwares pretty easily while still making a good net profit to keep reinvesting in the business. And for this method, you don't have to be sourcing fast moving items because you aren't going to be buying thousands of units that sell through as quick, right? People think that they have 3K, they have to buy items that sell 3,000 or 1,000 times or even like 300 times a month when you don't need to be targeting those products. If you buy $3,000 worth of an item that sells 300 a month, you are probably going to sell through that product in like 5 days. It's going to fly through your store because things on Amazon sell way quicker than you expect. So you're flying through your inventory really quick. You still have to wait for that money to process through. So it still takes weeks for that money to come back to you. But now you've only made 500 bucks from that $3,000, right? Because faster moving items typically, and this is very general, it's not always the case, but like 9 out of 10 times, the faster a product sells, the less money you're going to make on it. So you should be targeting slow moving items because you're still going to sell through those items easily within a month, because again, we're only spending 3K. We're not spending 30K. We're spending 3K a month. So you can afford to be buying items that sell 50 times a month and still move through it simply within a month, but you're going to make way more money on that investment. So then next run around, you have a lot more money to compound again, and you can stack that money month over month, make more until you get to a point where now you have 30, 40K to spend on inventory. And then yes, your strategy has to shift a little bit, because when you're spending 30K a month on inventory, you can't just be buying items that sell 50 a month because it's going to take too long to sell through. As you order more units of different ASINs, they have to kind of speed up a bit, but you don't need to target these in the beginning with less capital. So again, kind of reflecting back on that, when you're spending 30K a month, you can start targeting these items that sell about 30% ROI because at this point you are spending more money. And again, these items that sell really quick, which you should be targeting with a lot more capital, generally are going to have less ROI, so we can kind of shrink that amount that we're looking for. Mind you, items that sell a lot faster are also less or not as risky to tank in price, right? So an item that sells 50 times a month has a much higher chance of tanking. So if we're buying an item at a 30% ROI that sells 50 times a month, there's a very high chance that this item can drop from 30% to break even, right? Versus an item that sells 1,000 times a month at 30%, there's a much lower chance of that thing tanking to break even. So when we're buying an item that sells 50 times a month, we need to shoot for our items that sell, at about a 50, 80, 90% ROI, because that still gives us that cushion for it to drop in price in case it does, right? You're giving yourself that cushion cushion there, and you need a bigger cushion with items that sell slower. So again, with a lot more money, you need to be sourcing fast moving items, because when you spend more, you are ordering more units, and you still want to turn through inventory within 30 days so you can keep compounding, right? You can't spend 30K on a couple items that sell 50 a month, because it's going to take you months to sell through, and you're compounding too slow. So the net profit on these, typically if you're spending about 3K at 50%, obviously it's about 1.5K gross, maybe about 1.1, 1.2 after all your fees. I mean, like software fees and everything and pro account. And then again, with 30K, you're spending about 30%. You're obviously still making a lot more money on it. And at that point, when you're spending a lot of money, you're obviously making less on your money, but you're still making a bigger amount overall that you can keep reinvesting into the business. So here's the breakdown for spending 3K. If this is your goal to spend 3K a month, and I'm using very average numbers that a lot of people come into saying that they're going to be spending with, this is why I'm referring to it. You're probably ordering test orders between 10 to 20 units, because again, we want to sell through these items within 30 days absolute max, and this is a very small amount of units to where you probably move through it in like a week. But again, for the testing period, 10 to 20 units is a very good number to shoot for, and you're probably spending anywhere from $100 to $200 per test order. So this is about $10 per item. I like to place my test orders, honestly, more so based on how much capital I'm spending versus how many units I'm ordering. So if an item is like $2 buy cost and it only sells 50 a month, I probably would still order like 50 units of it, because it's still very low risk. I'm still only spending about $100 on that test order, and I would just send it in and let it sell as it sells. But generally speaking, on average, your test orders, your buy cost per item is probably between like $8 to $15. So yeah, about $100 to $200 per test order, and you're probably shooting for anywhere from 15 to 30 different ASINs. Now, this might sound crazy to you on the outside coming in, like, how am I supposed to find 15 to 30 different items within 30 days? Guys, if you are sourcing for slower moving items, it is so much easier to find products. The reason you are struggling to source is because you are sourcing for really fast movers with terrible methods. I'm going to show you the methods to use to source right now, and I've shown this method all the time, but I'm going to show you how to find some slower movers when you're doing this sourcing method, and where you need to look inside a seller to find them. But you need to target slower movers. These slower movers are going to be more profitable, and they're going to sell and they're going to be much easier to find, right? It's way easier to find them. Think about it this way. The reason an item sells slower on Amazon is because people can buy it for cheaper online, right? So if I'm a customer, I'm probably not going to go to Amazon and buy something for $30 if I can buy it online for $10. But there are still people that are going to Amazon because they don't know, that are still paying that overpriced price of $30. It's just less people. That's why it sells slower. Right? So this is a good thing for you and I, because we can go and buy it for retail for $10 and sell it on Amazon for $30 and make a ton of money on it, right? And again, we have less capital, so we don't need to be buying items that sell ridiculously quick. These items are still going to sell through, just maybe a little bit slower, but you're still going to move through them as long as you place smaller test orders like this easily within a month. And a lot of them sell much quicker than you anticipate. So you're going to be able to move through them quick. And then a lot of like my best items historically have been items that sell 50 to 100 times a month anyways, because again, they're much more profitable, but they almost always, 9 out of 10 times, they sell way faster than I anticipate them to sell. And other sellers look at the listings, they might find them and they're like, nah, 50 plus a month is not good for me. But in reality, you can check the offers on Keepa and you can see people just blowing through inventory, which 9 out of 10 sellers don't even know how to look at to pick that up. So they pass on it while me and my students can collect and print money on listings like this, right? So again, our target on this has to be about a 50% minimum ROI, and it's going to be easier for you to find when they sell slower as long as you're looking for them. And again, we're selling through this inventory really, really quick, all simultaneously. So right, you're buying 15 to 30 different items and you send them all in, and these are all selling at the exact same time. So you're blowing through inventory. Even though it only sells 50 times a month, you're blowing through that 3K worth of spend, you're producing 6K in revenue, and you're probably profiting anywhere from $1,000 to $1.5 thousand on that easily within a 30-day period for you to then take, reinvest, repeat until you get to a point where you're spending a lot more money. And then by then you're already a pro at Amazon anyways. You've been doing this for a year, and you can start to stack fast moving items and build out your store like that, however you please, right? Profit, reinvest in the most profitable listings. So I want to show you a couple products to target. And again, I already mentioned this, but products to target they're slower movers, right? Source slower moving listings. And I'm going to show you a listing right here. That's this brand has been a very good brand. It's a slower mover. Again, I don't recommend buying any of these if you watch this video, because these items do move slower, but I just want to show you guys that watch my videos how to target these types of products and where to look and how to actually source them. So let's open this one up. So an item like this, we can buy from the brand's website for about $14.72 when it's all said and done after all fees. And we're profiting really close to about a 50% ROI, but our margin here is fantastic. I mean, we're at about a 21% margin, which is really, really high. And again, it's because it's a bit of a more higher ticket item. And we can see right here, this item historically sells about 50 times a month, but it's clearly making sales, right? How do I know it's making sales? Because look at the offer count drop right here. This offer count dropped like crazy. And even throughout the last 3 months, we see consistent fluctuations in offers, which tells me it's definitely making sales while the price is remaining pretty steady. Another check we can do is coming over to the data offers tab and actually see these sellers moving through inventory. So we can see the seller getting sales pretty much every day, getting sales right there, getting sales right there. All these sellers are making some kind of sales, and we don't know how many we can sell until we actually send it in and see for ourselves, but I can guarantee you minimum you can move through at least 10 units of this by yourself a month, because everyone thinks that you need to take the total amount of offers here divided by 50 to decide how many you can sell, and they would think it's 5 units. But in reality, there's really only ever like 4 to 5 competitive sellers on these listings. As you can see right here, we have maybe about 7 competitors right here that are actually pricing. But again, I can guarantee you this listing is selling much quicker than 50 times a month. So you can easily sell through 10 of these, guaranteed within a month. No doubt about it in my mind, right? And these are the types of products you should be targeting. So let me show you how to find products that sell slower and where to actually pick them out from SellerAmp. So I just opened up this random seller here with 91 reviews on this listing that's priced competitively. And I can see they have 452 different products. Now they have a lot of different brands. Okay, generally these slower moving items are going to be towards the bottom of these searches inside of SellerAmp. So you can see these listings all sell quick. I probably wouldn't be looking into these ones that are moving this quick because these ones are going to be much, much harder to track down at a profitable price. And even if you do find them profitably, again, I'm telling you, your ROI is not going to be that high. And with less capital, you probably don't even want to be targeting those types of items. And after scrolling here for a couple seconds here, I noticed this item here towards the bottom that sold 50 times a month, gave me some pretty good confidence to look into it. I can see right here, if I do a quick Google search, we actually found it right here on this website for about $8. And this thing is selling for $20.25, but this is an FBM seller. FBA is actually priced at $22.74. So I would anticipate to make sales up here. Again, slower moving item, but this thing is selling for a really, really high ROI, easy product to spend some money on. Probably easily buy about 10 to 15 units of this, move through that money and compound it almost at 100% ROI, which is just insane. Now, I know for sure this listing is actually selling as variation because if I check the variations tab here, I can actually check and see, and it looks like it just recently got the monthly sold here. So if I click into it, we are looking for the large, firm, slicker brush, which is this one right here. And if I zoom over right here, we can actually see that there are some ratings coming on, which tells me this is definitely making sales probably right around 50 times a month. And also if I click into the offers tab, I can actually see this seller right here moving through inventory from May 1st to the middle of the month. Looks like they sold through about 6 units in about 2 weeks. So easily move through 15 of these in a month yourself. And again, this was actually an FBM seller. Us as FBA sellers coming in here, we can definitely move through more units at a higher price because customers getting much quicker shipping times. The reason this listing is selling slow, let me tell you right now, and the reason a lot of people make mistakes on is because look at this shipping time for the customer. Thursday, May 29th. Today is the 19th. No customers want to buy this when it's such a far product and shipping. But if you come on here, get your inventory checked in and available, I guarantee you this listing is going to sell so much faster because the customer now has same day or next day delivery, and you're going to drive a ton of traffic to this listing and you're going to blow through it, right? People see these listings, but the reason they look like they sell slow is usually also because everyone is back ordered. So people don't know to look there and then they avoid it, and then they are missing out on products that are really, really profitable just like this, right? And we can keep going through the seller storefront, and I'm just looking at these slower moving items, and this is what I would be targeting if I was you, brand new with less capital, because not only are these brands typically a little bit easier to ungate. Now, mind you, Andis, this brand is not easy to ungate. If you're new, don't even try and sell this. You're not going to be able to get approval, but generally these slower movers with these smaller brands are easier to get approvals in. And if you missed my video last week, what I would recommend doing is actually using smaller sellers. So this is a much larger seller, but if anything, using sellers that have less than 10 reviews to go through. And again, I made a whole video on this last week going over what you need to do and the reality of Amazon and how to actually go about it. Actually, I made it 2 weeks ago. I will link it at the end of this video to go ahead and watch it after that. But that'll show you, if you're a new seller, how to go out there and actually get approval in some of these smaller brands so you can finally go ahead and start making some sales on your store. But this, all in all, is the method for low budget. It is to target slower moving items. It is to target more profitable items. And the reason I say slower movers first is because if you are specifically looking for items that sell slower, you are going to come across more profitable ones naturally. Everyone is looking for items that sell thousands a month. And are there some out there that are very profitable? Yes, there is. But generally, these items are not going to be nearly as replenishable. They're going to be harder to order bulk quantities of, and they're also going to be way harder to find. And if you're brand new, you're going to give up. Again, I'm telling you, you don't need fast movers with low capital. You're going to blow through inventory in 2 days. You're still going to have to wait just as long to get your payout. And then now you started with 3K, but you've only made 500, whereas me and you with less capital can go in there, spend 3K, make 1,500, maybe takes an extra week to get back, but you've made so much more money to now reinvest into more inventory. I'm telling you, this is the way. It's going to make your life easier, and you're going to make more money. Follow this method if you are brand new with less than $6,000 spent on inventory. I promise it's going to help you find more products and make more money. Now, if you want to expedite this whole process, if you would like me to personally help you, I've helped well over 100 students by now crush 15K, 20K revenue months on Amazon. I have some students doing over 6 figures a month, which is just absolutely insane. Mind you, they worked extremely hard and have been doing this for several months, even up to a year. But numbers like that are definitely achievable for anybody. It just takes some time in the correct systems. And if you would like to bypass the whole learning curve, where me and you will literally sit down and find products together, build out your store with some auto-approved brands and get you going, what my coaching looks like is we get together, we build out your store, get some items sent in for you and start selling through right away. So you don't only get proof of concept, but you also get to show Amazon that you're reputable, so you can start to finally source some bigger brands and start to scale up your store, while obviously learning the ins and outs of sourcing with my Keep a Product Finder methods. There's a link down below, booking a call, run you through what that looks like, but only if you are dead serious about actually making Amazon work. I'm going to commit all my time to you, so I'd like the same thing in return. If you would like that help, there's a link down below. But if you are just here scrolling and you're looking for more help outside of that, look, I have so many free value on my YouTube. Please go through my videos. This goes through literally every single thing you need to know. My coaching is just meant for you if you are looking for some hand-holding experience. But I have plenty of value on my YouTube to help you get going, and I've had a lot of DMs from you guys telling me that my videos have helped take you from 0 to 50K months, which is just absolutely insane. So I promise it is doable on your own as well. Also, follow me on my Instagram and shoot me any DMs there if you have any specific questions. I make videos on there every single day, and I can address anything you want. Let me know down below what you guys want to see from me next week, and I'll see you guys next one. Take care.